evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. What? Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for tuning in for another night of roundtable discussion. I am the host for tonight, Evangelist Holden. How you doing? And I have my sister here, my sister who runs the sound, Sister Kamara.
The computer.
Yes, the computer and the camera. She does it all. But we want to welcome you on tonight again on behalf of Apostle Robert Parker and Pastor Celeste Parker. We send you greetings. If you can, right now, it's only going to take probably 5 seconds, the longest. Hit the share button, put it on your timeline, put it on your story, send it out to a friend. Hey, even send it to an enemy. You know, it helps. It blesses everybody.
Yeah.
So if you can, just take a moment, hit that share button, and just share it to your friends and family, cousins. Share it to everybody. Thank you. So tonight, you ready? Tonight, you ready?
You ready?
I'm a little nervous, but I'm
Yeah,
good.
I got you.
So tonight we have another night of roundtable discussion, and our topic for tonight is what you want to tell me?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
Tell me, sis.
Our topic for tonight is unlearning unhealthy trauma responses.
Let that one soak in.
Yes, let it simmer.
Simmer.
Unlearning unhealthy trauma responses.
Yes.
And it coincides with our topic for this month, which is unlearning
Yes.
unhealthy perception.
Yes.
Um,
So, if you haven't, or if you have been tuning in, listening, dissecting this, I mean, this has really been good, and we've been given some good information, to help it just gives you another outlook on, life and stuff that, everyone deals with, what we deal with personally, with family, friends, stuff we deal with at home. It just helps us to home into it and to see it and identify it, and then once we identify it, make the necessary steps to work on it to become healthy.
Yep.
Because we were unhealthy,
yeah,
and the goal is to be healthy.
absolutely.
Come on, we all want to be healthy,
Right. Mentally, physically.
Yeah, spiritually.
Spiritually.
Can't forget about spiritually.
Yes.
So we're going to dissect and we're going to talk. And if you have any questions, remarks, please type it in the chat. We have our sister Tiana. She's running the sound tonight.
Woo.
So, yeah. Woo. So whatever questions you have, she will kindly tell us, write it down so we can go over it and so we can elaborate. Is that okay? If that's okay, give us some thumbs up in the chat, couple clapping emojis. So
I thought it would be really cool if we
okay.
could kind of dissect a little bit about what Sister Tiana, Dr. Goodman, and Sister Joyce talked about last week.
Okay.
With unlearning unhealthy perceptions of ourselves, like
Yeah.
us as people,
Mhm.
And it's so interesting because they gave us like a lot of strategies that we could use to kind of work on
Yes.
some of our own baggage,
Yes. Yes.
And one that really kind of stood out to me was admitting that something's wrong, admitting that we have a problem to begin with,
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
That's like going to, the AA meeting and just saying, hey, my
Yeah.
name is so-and-so and I have this issue.
Right.
So that's hard just to deal with yourself, admitting admitting that something is wrong, so, or something is wrong with you. And I wouldn't say wrong with you, but, you see a bad trait.
Right.
And it's hard to accept something that's not right,
Yeah.
that the world would deem unnormal.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, process that, and it's hard to deal with that, so.
Yeah, and I think it's hard too sometimes because I think sometimes we recognize that something's wrong within ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the first thing we'll try to do is like communicate it to somebody close to us.
Yeah.
Like even if it's our parent or our best friend or our sibling or whatever, we try to communicate like there's something like not right about something going on with me, you know. Like I remember there's this one day where, you know, we were like here at the church and like we were recording the Because You Matter like commercial, like, you know. And I had kind of started talking a little bit about my experiences with like anxiety, right? And I was like, I have so much anxiety, I get so anxious, you know. And somebody had came to visit the church at that time and they were like, don't say that. You don't claim those things, you know. And I'm like, sometimes that can be so like such a complicated thing to like put on somebody because in that moment, like I've already recognized my issues, like it is what it is, you know. I could say it, not say it, you know. But sometimes I kind of see it as like, you know, a person in need is calling the fire department and being like, my house is on fire, help me. And then the firefighters are like, no,
your house not on fire.
Your house not on fire. Don't claim that. Like, no, something is wrong.
Yeah, and we can, and it's there. You can see it.
Right.
So it's like, this is a problem, and I need to deal with it.
Exactly.
Can you help me, please?
Right. And I think another really big thing is even admitting to ourselves, like, not only that there's a problem, but also admitting that the problem is just, like, too much for us. You know?
Yeah, I would say it's hard. It is hard to admit it because now you start feeling like you're less than who you are. You feel less of a person.
Yeah.
And you start to feel like, okay, if there is something wrong with me, I can't function in life. I can't do the normal things. I can't do this, I can't do that because I have this issue. And it's like, no, that's false. Who told you that? That's a lie. You can do everything that you want to do. It's just, hey, it's an issue that it's hindering you and that we need to deal with.
Yeah.
You know? So as you were saying, just gotta admit it and be willing to take those steps to work it out.
Yeah.
You know?
And you really do raise a good point. I think that sometimes, like even when we kind of, you know, like you were saying, you kind of put it out there and you kind of admit like, you know, there's something wrong. I think that sometimes, like especially when it comes to things like mental health or, you know, like when we were growing up, like, Mom, Dad, I'm depressed. Like, you seen that meme? I'm depressed, right? And then what was the response? Depress them dishes, you know? Right. Depress that room, you know? And it's not, okay, let's talk a little bit more about what that means to you. What do you mean by that? What are you what are you experiencing? You know, like instead of having like those kind of follow-up questions, oftentimes it's kind of disregarded as being like fake, you know, unrealistic. Like you can't be experiencing that because of your age or because of whatever. But you know, like
live
even
life long enough, so you can't experience. You don't have depressed.
Exactly.
You don't even know what depression is. I'm sad all the time. I want to be tucked away. I don't want to deal with nobody. Hello, these are signs. Come on, let's talk about this.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Let's talk about it. You know, having like safe people in our lives is like so important. You know, just having somebody, you know, in your circle, in your space. That might not necessarily be your friend. It might not necessarily be your family, but it's just, it could be a counselor. It could be anybody that if you confide in them, you know that what you've given them is like in a safe space. Yeah.
I would say you're right. And let's go back a little bit. Even with the child adult, you know, well, we're gonna say child because that's where it tends to start at when you are a child.
Yeah.
Kids, you know, when they feel safe, like you said, they go to a friend. Some won't go to parents because they feel, as we were saying, oh, you don't know what that is. They'll disregard them, and you know, it's almost like belittling their feelings,
right,
or what they're experiencing. And it's like, no, the children are experiencing this, and they don't know what it is, so they're trying to communicate the best way they know how. So, you know, like you said, now when they don't communicate to the parent, automatically you're gonna go to a best friend, a close friend, especially a friend that they hang out with, and then, hate to say it like this, but some kids feel better telling a stranger their issue, you know, and it's like, some parents may not like it, but where have the parents gave that child a real safe space, to say, hey, you can express yourself to a degree, or you can talk. I want to hear you. I want to get your point of view, and maybe we can come up with a solution to fix, help, or even if we can't, hey, we can go somewhere to get the help we need to fix it.
Exactly.
So, real quick, if y'all have anything that y'all want to say, or something that's on your mind, or something y'all even dealt with, put it in the chat, and as we said, we will talk about it. So just want to throw that back out there for the viewers.
Yeah. All right. So tonight we're learning about unlearning unhealthy trauma responses, and I think one of the most important thing for us to do first is to even redefine or really define, I think, the word dysfunction, because I think it has such a negative connotation. Like when you think dysfunction, you think like baby's kids, or like the hood,
Yep.
So like, how would you define dysfunction? Because I have a definition, but I think it's also important to kind of to express how we view certain words. So how do you define dysfunction? When you think of it.
When thinking of it and just going back to my childhood, honestly, I didn't think we were dysfunctional. I didn't think there was no dysfunction.
Yeah.
Because it's what I knew.
Yeah.
Growing up in there, arguing, yelling, fights, and the disagreements and all that. It was embedded. It was embedded in us. So we didn't know. It wasn't until got older, more of my teen years. Now I'm starting to interact with different friends, going to different relatives' houses, parties and functions they're having, and watching the way they communicate with each other and they interact with each other is what made me really think about wait, we don't do none of this. Is that normal? For instance, I want to say I probably was 12. I'm going to say 12. And I remember I stayed at my friend's house, and his mom was working night shift. So before she went in, I'll never forget it. He gave her a hug and kiss and said, "All right, Mom, I love you. I see you in the morning." I'm like, huh?
What sorcery is this?
Yeah, I'm like, I waited till she left.
Yeah.
And I was like, you just told your mom you loved her and you gave her a kiss? What is wrong with you?
Wow.
And he looked at me like I was talking crazy, and he's like,
my mom?
Yeah, that's my mom. I always tell her I love her. I always give her a kiss and tell her I love her. I'm like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Because I don't do that. So it was foreign to me.
Yeah.
But it pricked at me where now I'm like, is that normal?
Yeah.
Now I'm starting to question it, but me being at that age, all right, I'm not saying nothing, but I want to see it happen with other people. Now, if it is happening with other people, what is it? Now why can't I do that? Why can't I? So.
Yeah, why haven't you had that type of experience?
Yeah,
and that's totally valid. I think that sometimes, especially like me, I was raised more. What do you call it? We were more in the house, sheltered. We wasn't going to a friend's house down the street, they knew exactly where we was, and we was in the room, we was so so obviously I learned to socialize mostly with my family or at school, but not so much in any environment outside of that, and church, but not in any environment outside of that. So when I went to college, you do get to see different dynamics, and some of them are good, some of them are bad, but it's kind of nice to have a different perspective, different from what you knew, growing up. Even as far as how friends deal with each other. Me and my sister have the conversation all the time where it was we, struggle to socialize. We're always uncomfortable, but then we kind of see how other people are just naturally, naturally able to engage everybody in the room, make everybody in the room feel comfortable. We what is this? Like, what is your story? You know, like, how are you able to do that, and why can't I do that? You know.
This took years. This took a lifetime because I wasn't always this person. I was more of the hatred, angry all the time, 24/7 angry.
Right.
And I wasn't happy until I got around my cousins or my friends.
Yeah.
So it was always, my face was tight, mean mugging all the time. So I was embedded in this. Like, this was me.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I didn't start breaking that mold until I was 20, 21.
Yeah. So you made active, like, you actively tried to change that part. Yeah.
So, like, okay. So going back to when I was talking about my friend, when I seen him interact with his mom.
Yeah.
So after I seen that made, like, that stirred up in me, like, try it, you know. It's not, it don't look harmless, you know, it don't look harmful, it look harmless. And I tried it, and I literally felt like a brick wall. It was just like,
woo.
Yeah, because like I said, my mom used to work that shift. She used to work 4 to 12.
Mm-hmm.
So when she was going there, I was like, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm literally hyping myself up in the room to go do this. Like, all right, come on, you can do this.
Yeah,
you can do it. Like,
right. That's so funny.
So she goes, all right, son, all right, son, I'm about to leave. I'm like, all right. I see you when you get back.
Yeah.
And then after she leaves, I was like, oh my God.
Kicking yourself.
I was like, it was right there. What was so hard?
Kicking yourself.
But I didn't,
It's so difficult. That's so funny. We'll get there. I kind of want to share something, but I also, like, it happened too recently for me to. But I've felt exactly how you felt, you know.
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
So dysfunction, it's any impairment or disturbance or deficiency in behavior on the part of an individual person or between people. All right. So we're gonna play a game. Okay. You ready?
No.
So I'm gonna read.
Not ready, no. I'm sorry. I don't know what's about to happen.
Yes, brother DeAndre has committed to being fully open.
You going to? Wow, she really said committed.
You know, like yes.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
I'll play too. All right. I'm gonna play.
Y'all heard this.
This takes a level of openness.
Yes.
Right?
High five it.
Yes. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna read off some very frequent, or not frequent. I'm gonna read off a list of dysfunctions that we kind of encounter daily, right?
Okay.
And when I run into a dysfunction that you've experienced in your life, you know, even before you were saved.
It's probably the first one.
Okay. You gotta say, but God, right?
Okay.
But God, you know?
Okay.
Is that corny?
No. No, that ain't corny.
You ready?
Because it was him he was the one that fixed me.
Amen.
Okay.
Okay, you ready? All right, number 1, poor communication. Oh God.
But I'm still working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle to communicate without crying, especially if I'm upset about something. I don't know what it is, but if I don't even have to be upset. I'm just uncomfortable. Tears, shaky voice, like there it is. Like, yeah, but that's dysfunctional. Yeah. Like, you should be able to communicate.
See, I was, for me, I would say, because I was petty. Okay. Yeah, I was real petty. That's a confession, y'all. I'm petty.
Childish.
Yeah, tick for tack. Gotta get even.
Yeah.
So, depending on the communication.
Yeah.
If it wasn't going in my favor, I'm ready to be petty. I'm ready to get you back.
Okay.
But God, yeah, cause
right, he working on you.
Yeah, cause I catch, I catch myself because when it flares up, I got, you can't do that. That's not right.
Right.
But God, all right, thank you.
Right.
And, proceed.
All All right, so you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
All right, frequent conflict.
Bug out.
That's not. I mean, praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord.
But,
yeah.
no.
Well, I'm going. You.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm pretty passive, right? Okay, I'm gonna say but God because probably when I was younger, right? But how about you?
No, you don't finish.
I mean, like, probably, but I don't think I caused conflict, right?
I don't know. This is your story. I don't know.
I'm asking him. You gotta go back. You gotta tell the Lord to reveal it. You know, to you.
I thought you were sharing too. Okay.
I mean, when I was in grade school, like I said, like I kind of really struggled to socialize and like make friends or whatever, and I struggled to communicate. Mm-hmm. But I don't think I like overtly created conflict, but I think it created conflict. Like my inability to communicate with my peers or like communicate with my teacher effectively. But I don't think like I frequently like get into conflict though.
I would say mine was more of when I was a kid, child, school, when I have relatives, my cousins in class.
Yeah.
Because now, and my friends, when we all in class together, we gonna cut up. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
As you should. No, I'm just kidding.
Disregard that.
Just kidding. Disregard that, children.
You gotta be good. We want you being good in school.
Yes. Especially for your teacher's sake. Okay, you ready for number 3?
Yes.
All right. So this one is a little bit sensitive, so I apologize to anybody if we bring up any kind of any kind of topic that makes you feel uncomfortable. We apologize in advance. You can feel free to like click off and watch it again. You can fast forward or anything like that. Okay, yeah. Because some people just kind of aren't ready to, But this next one, yes.
Wait, like we got a question. We
We have 2.
Okay.
I'm gonna do one now.
Okay.
And one after the game.
Okay.
So this one says, as believers, why do people rather go to someone weaker than they are instead of going to someone who can push and help them? What's y'all perspective?
I would say, my perspective is, I don't want to be pushed. I'm not. I want somebody. Depending on how I'm feeling, I'm gonna go to somebody either where I'm at or weaker because I don't want to be put. I don't want to get rid of it, or I don't want to just deal with it and move on. At that moment, I want to feel the way I want to feel. So I'm going to talk to somebody who's going to be the buddy system and say, yeah, and be in agreement with me. Well, the old me now, maturing. It feels good to want to be with somebody who's going to be passive to you and, nah, yeah, you right. It feels good, but you know that, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I know what I want to do. But let me talk to somebody who's seasoned or who's lived life, who lived life. And let me talk to them and get their perspective. Yeah, I may not want to hear it, but it's going to help me in the long run.
Yeah. So
that's my take on it. I believe you should go to the one who's actually going to push you, and it doesn't feel good to be pushed. I'm gonna be first partaker of that. It don't feel good, but it's going to help me. It helps me in the long run. Now where I'm at is. I done matured a little bit, I ain't gonna say a whole lot, I'm gonna just say a little bit because it's in increments.
Right.
So now when I do have conflicts and I do have problems, now I go to somebody who's seasoned. And I know they have good for me. It's good because they're gonna push me to deal with that problem. I may not want to hear it, but I know this is the right way to go. Because it's gonna make me. And it's going to better me down the road instead of right now.
Yeah.
Forget my feelings. I put my feelings to the side and let me take some wisdom to deal with wisdom. So that's me.
I think for me, when I think of like why would you want to go to someone, weaker than you or as weak as you, like, so misery loves company comes to mind. But I'm gonna kind of change the phrasing a little bit to sometimes I think people have like this internal longing for validation.
Yeah.
Like I need you to validate my feelings, you know. And I think that sometimes people are always tactful in being like, listen, I understand and like I understand what you're saying. I appreciate you for coming to me, and then crack the whip. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you almost kind of have to be tactful because I feel that it's important to create sort of like a safe space and a safe conversation for whoever you're talking to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And more than likely, you're going to have that safe space or that safe conversation to have certain conversations with a friend. You know, whereas like leadership and like anybody who's like over you or, you know, a little more seasoned than you, it's almost like an authority figure in a sense to where there's like a, you know, for me anyway, like an imbalance, you know, like I'm coming to you with this problem, you know, and like I know that you can help me, but there's also a certain kind of shame that I'm experiencing to have the problem in the first place.
See, that's good.
You know,
that's good. That's
you know
good.
what I mean?
Yeah, that's good.
So
that's
I
good.
think that's kind of why. I think that it's just kind of like the validation piece, the I'm safe here piece, you know? And it's, and again, it's difficult, and you know, I'm not at all saying that anybody has to change their communication approach, you know? Like, you don't necessarily have to, you know, to appease other people. However, it might be beneficial.
We can grow.
To,
we can be better.
right, to grow in, you know, how we can. But, like, I will say that Apostle is very good.
Yes.
At doing that.
Yes, because
you know,
that's one thing. One thing I can say for me is that he will give you the space. Okay, you want to talk. Okay, you want to talk. All right, let's talk.
Yeah.
So now it's like, okay, we sit down. You know, for me, when I have my talks.
Yeah.
I sit down and all right, I gotta talk.
Yeah.
Okay, what's up? So I'll talk. It gives the space and it gives that freedom to express myself.
Right.
And then now after I express myself, process it, he'll hear it, and then now he'll give his what's the word I'm looking for? He'll give his advice.
Yeah.
He'll give his advice.
Right.
And then, you know, once we talk about it, and then, you know, I say we have real conversation because once I express myself and talk about it, now, okay, he gives me what I need, you know, information wise. Okay, you know, best thing, you know, I learned from him was he doesn't have all the answers.
Yeah.
But the thing is, okay, I don't have an answer for you right yet. I know somebody, or we can find this information.
Yeah.
And once we find the information, he brings it back. Okay, this is what it is.
But even just admitting that,
yes.
You know, like admitting that, listen, like you came to me, I don't have what you need.
Yeah.
You know, can really be validating to somebody like, okay, like it's not just me.
Yeah.
You know, like this wasn't as easy of a fix as, you know, my brain was telling me it was. So yeah, that's great. That's a great example.
Any more? That was it?
For now. After the game, I'll ask another question.
Okay.
Okay. All right, cool. So, all right. So let's get back to the game. Let's get back to the game. All right, because we ran out of time. All right. So number three. Was it number three?
Number 3.
Okay. So number 3 was emotional or physical abuse.
Emotional.
Yeah.
Because of physical,
No.
I was tall. I was pretty tall. And
Yeah.
I'm the biggest one out, you know.
Right.
All of us, so not too much, not that.
Yeah. So, but God.
But God.
You know.
But God for emotions.
Yeah.
Because my emotions was
Yeah.
on the evil side. Yeah, because like I said, just growing up, and I would say my mother at the time didn't. I'm not gonna say she didn't love me. I will not say that.
Yeah.
I knew she loved me hands
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
I just say, as far as expressing, it was more of, you know, more yelling. We was always bickering. We was always clashing.
Yeah.
Me and her, we butt heads.
Yeah, she gave you what she knew.
Yeah, so
you know.
my way of my emotions or the way I would show love or say I loved you. When I was young, I couldn't tell I loved her, but it was more of, if you ask me to do something, okay, no problem.
Yeah.
That was my form of showing I loved you, because I went and did it. So that was me.
Yeah.
But God.
Right.
But God.
Come on now, he in the room.
Yeah.
All right, so you ready for number 4?
4.
All right. So engaging in compulsive behavior, talking about dysfunction, right? Engaging in compulsive behavior such as gambling or overworking. But God. I won't get there on time,
Yeah.
but I'm leaving late. You better believe it. Last one in that parking lot.
That's funny. But God, right? But God. Yeah, but God.
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a gambler, man. I wasn't.
No, I ain't have no money.
Yeah.
I understand.
I'm not
you know,
gambling.
I'm not
No,
judging, but
I worked hard for that money. I'm not. The most I probably did was $40. Yeah. I actually went to a casino, spent $40. That was it.
Okay.
That was it. I said, nah, I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, I don't know. People be like, I was there till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh,
What?
What?
Nickels and dimes.
You lost all that money? Lord Jesus.
All right, so I'm gonna skip a couple just for the sake of time.
Okay.
So let's.
Okay, let's go.
All right, uses threats of violence.
But God, he's still working on me.
Am I violent? No, I'm not violent.
I'm not violent, but
like, in the past.
I would say
And it's
it was
not
the argument, threaten, making, making idle threats.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh, I'm
In anger.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And then I just also want to emphasize, the main point of, even what we're discussing tonight is, yes, these dysfunctional behaviors have occurred.
Yes.
But we also kind of want to address how it kind of came to be in the first place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And we'll kind of get there, but some people, my point is, some people can't actually control all the time how they respond to something.
Yeah, no.
Some things are very innate, some things are learned,
Mm-hmm.
And once your brain kind of forms a pattern or a memory, it's very difficult to snap out of that cycle because it's biological.
Yeah.
Your brain is literally nah, tell him his mom smell you know?
I like to call it muscle memory.
Yeah.
You've been doing something for so long, you can be out of it for a while, and then at a moment's notice, it'll come right back.
Right.
So it's muscle memory. So like I said, even with me, anger was a big issue for me. And,
yeah.
And just raising my voice was always an issue for me. So it was just embedded, being, growing up in it, being formed in it, growing up from a kid all the way up into my teens, to 21. It was just anger.
Mm-hmm.
Shouting. And it was just until it kept being addressed to me, yo, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You need to stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Mm-hmm.
This is an issue. And I'm like, how's the issue? I don't see it. Ding, ding, ding is right there.
Right.
Still yelling. So it's a process, but the more you work at it, the more you are able to identify. So as soon as you have your moment or your outlet, your lash, it's oh wait, wow, yeah, that's what that was. Okay, let me stop.
Yeah.
Woo, let me woo some.
Right.
All right, okay.
Right.
Let's talk.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to actually take those moments with yourself.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Just give me a minute. I remember, look, my kid was, I love him dearly. Jeez, they drive me up the wall.
Tell the truth. Come on.
My son, my kids got on my nerves one time, and I just lashed out. Yo, Sam! I said, oh.
Yup.
Whew.
You gotta do it.
They want to talk. Shh, just don't say nothing.
Yep.
Why?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Give me a minute, because I'm here.
Yeah.
I want to explode.
Yep.
But I can't, because I want to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying. So
right.
I'd rather not shout and y'all tune me out. So let me calm down.
Yeah.
Let me put on this soft voice, so we can talk because I don't want to shout at y'all. So
Exactly.
yeah,
And that's
so,
the first step of your healing,
yeah.
you know? Just like even being able to stop yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you started, but then
Mhm.
I was able to hold on, you know? Like, look, hold up.
Catch myself.
Exactly. You know, and that's kind of like the first step. All right, so here's the last one.
Last one.
And then the game is over.
Oh man,
Here's fall.
so soon. Oh my gosh, we was just having fun.
All right. So the last one is doesn't address or manage inappropriate behavior. Meaning inappropriate, I mean in like sexual or anything like that. It just means like inappropriate. Like it's just not. The word normal comes to mind,
Mm-hmm.
but even thinking about like the poor communication, like you just people who won't take what I take from that is people who won't take accountability. You know, just like you were just saying how you know you started and you cut it. And you recognize that, okay, like I need to calm myself down. Like, you know, individuals who struggle to take accountability for their current mental state or struggle to take accountability for their dysfunctional behaviors, you know, those things that are just totally unhealthy, but just like refuse to acknowledge that it's something you need to change. And I will say, but God.
Yeah, but you gotta, but God, you gotta stretch that out. Man, that's a real fight right there because
Yeah.
there's many people I know, you know, that have these issues or the problems or you know, and they don't want to deal with it because they don't want to face themselves, you know. It's a hard, you know, looking in that mirror. That's one of your. That's I don't care what nobody says. That's one of the toughest battles to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Is
Pride.
you know, you are the strongest opponent. You are your strongest opponent.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that made sense. I'm sorry if it didn't make sense, but
It makes sense.
yeah. So it's every day you have to wake up because just as much as you wake up and brush your teeth, you gotta look in the mirror and you see yourself.
Yeah.
So you see the pride, you see the arrogance, you see the false humility, you see the anger, you see the bitterness, you see the low self-esteem, you see all these things.
Yep.
And a lot of times it does become overwhelming because let's face it, who really wants to deal with all that? Who wants to really put in that work to deal with all these things?
Yeah.
Really, a lot of people don't. They just want to
Yep.
magically want it to be done. That can
Yeah.
snap with a finger, or they get
Yeah.
to say, "God, take it away."
Mm-hmm.
And be done with it. No, it's like, okay, God said, yeah, I'll take it away, but you have to put in the work. So
Yep.
what is the work? Okay, me, I had anger issues. All right, I gotta deal with this thing. All right, God, help me with this anger. All right, now that I'm dealing with it, now all these events is gonna happen where it's gonna trigger it. It's like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yep.
That's a trigger. Okay, whoa, I didn't know this was a trigger for me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me deal with it.
Yep.
And nobody wants to deal with these roots.
Mm-hmm.
Man, roots just keep coming back up.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yep.
Roots was a good series, you know, not the sidebar, but it helps you deal with a lot of your dysfunctions.
Yeah.
Our dysfunctions.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it helped us to identify. So yeah, it just identifying my anger, I had to admit it, like, man, all right, I'm angry. Why am I angry? So I had to follow the trail. Where is this coming from?
Yup. And
Okay.
that's the thing.
The
Yep.
big root was the anger between me and my mother. Growing up, I didn't know what real, you know, the real love is, the tender love, the embracing love. I remember clear as day. We were talking. We was having a little Bible study, and we were talking about it. And soon we brought up my mom. I just like stone cold went angry, like instantly. I was mad, and the more we kept talking, it was just like, I don't want to talk. Leave me alone. But we were there, so they was like, no, come on, you got to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the moment I opened up and expressed myself about it, I literally heard like just glass breaking.
Oh wow.
And when I heard that, I cried. I was crying like a little baby
Yeah.
because it was that bad.
Yeah.
But then that's where, okay, I identified it, talked about it. All right, now I got to keep putting in the work to get rid of it.
Right.
So, and that's what I had to do. And then, like I said, once I dealt with it and admitted it,
yeah,
as I got older, me and my mom had the best relationship. Like, well, you couldn't tell me how you love that woman.
yeah.
I told her, love you, embraced her. It was something I could never do as a child, as a teenager, even in my early adulthood. I couldn't do that. So, but God.
Yeah, there it
But
is.
God.
Won't he do it? All right, so I think we have another question. Now that the game is over. Here's one.
Okay.
Yes.
So the last question is, how do we trust God with our dysfunctional ways?
You want to go first? You want to go first?
You go first.
I'm always first.
Listen.
Well, okay, I know. I would say it's a daily process. You have to every day. You have to identify that dysfunction.
Yeah.
And as you identify it, you keep putting it in God's hand and you keep walking. You keep moving forward. I'm just giving, I talk about myself the whole day, so, I know my dysfunction, like I said, with the anger, the love, I didn't show affection, the bitterness, almost borderline hatred I had. Once I was able to identify, I literally had to cry out to God. And the more I gave it to God, the more I trusted that God was going to help me deal with it. And I took it day by day. I took it, one day at a time. I learned that where you're not going to conquer this thing overnight. You got to deal with it day by day. You're going to have some good days. You're going to have some bad days.
Yeah.
But no matter what, you still keep God in the mix. You still, okay, God, even when you have your moments and you slip, okay, God, still help me with this.
Yeah.
Still, I know I slipped. I'm sorry. Forgive me. Help me. Give me the strength so I can keep moving forward. And the more you're able to be honest, honesty is the key. The more the more you're able to be honest with God, the more you give him the work. You give him more to work with, because now you're not hiding from him no more. You're open. You're being an open book to him. So even though he sees everything, you're just opening up yourself. So now you're allowing God to work out those issues, those dysfunctions, to the point where when it falls off, you don't even realize that it fell off until somebody brings it up. Yeah. And then that's when you're able to, wow, man, last time I had a flare up was, whoa, okay, but God, thank you. So it's literally communicating with God and moving forward in the process. You have to put in the work. We can't just say God take something away and expect him to do it. Not saying that God can't, but you have to put in the work, and I'm just sharing myself all night. You just have to move forward with it. You want to get free from it, you got to move forward and be honest with it. Yeah. So that's what I have.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, so I, as I get older and I'm recognizing these, dysfunctional trauma responses that I myself have, I started to kind of get in a point where I started to seek outside help, right? And so, because sometimes, especially when you're raised in church, say amen in the chat if you agree. No, I'm just kidding. But sometimes when you're raised in church, a scripture that moved you 5-10 years ago, when you in a dark space, sometimes it doesn't reach you all the time. You so sheltered, you can say any scripture you want to say. I've been hearing it for so long. You just get there, and it's such a dangerous place to be in because you start to really lose faith. And so once I kind of reached that space, I was like, all right, like, I can't stay here.
Right.
Like, I would pray, but, like, it would be one of those, it would be one of those prayers where, like, you hyperventilate to Jesus, like, but you're not saying anything.
Yeah.
Like, mind you, your heart
Yeah.
is like, you see what she doing? Like, I can't even hear from you. Like, get her, But, like, you yourself aren't, like, really saying any words. So, I tried to kind of identify some of the things that it could be, Like, I have my issues with low self-esteem and, like, self in general. So I was like, all right, so I'm going to see a nutritionist.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm gonna see a nutritionist.
Right.
And at the very least, even if, like, I don't end up, like, losing weight or whatever the issue is.
Yeah.
At the very least, I can kind of start something up. Like, get on track to something. And so I did that for a little while, and then, I continued to do that, was cooking my little meals at home and different things like that. Right.
Confidence. Yeah.
And so then I was like, okay, so now let me, sign up for therapy, right? Because I was like, if I'm crying like this in prayer, there's something that is God's trying to pull up, right? But I'm fighting him.
Yeah.
Like, when you, you fight, like, why you fighting?
Yeah.
But I couldn't not do it,
Right.
So I ended up going to therapy. Like, I just ended up, my first session, I'm just crying. And, like, this stranger is just like, like, just listening.
Okay.
Yeah,
Taking the notes.
And I'm just, like, I'm crying, but I'm, like, trying to get it out, And I remember, like, in, like, a third session or something, because I told her, and mind you, like, I absolutely love my family. I love my parents,
Of course.
But, like, one thing that really, for some reason, I really struggled with was, like, this anxious feeling all the time. Like, I couldn't settle down. And that's what I told her. Like, I feel like something's happening.
Yeah.
But nothing's happening.
It's the unknown.
Yeah.
And
so as I'm kind of telling her a little bit about myself and, a little bit about different things and, like, about my family and different things like that, she's like, okay. She was like, you know what? She was like, it seems like, because one of the biggest things is, like, I have to lock my car several times. And we're not talking about, like, 1 to 2 times. We're talking about, like, 3, 10, 15 times. Like, I have to lock it. And then it goes as far as, like, before I leave work every day, I'll check all the outlets and make sure everything is unplugged.
Yeah.
Then I'll leave the building, I'll come back in, and then I'll check again. And then I'll leave it, So she's like, it sounds like you are sort of in survival mode. She said it sounds like you're kind of struggling with the excessive responsibility that you had as a kid.
Yeah.
And now you just, like, it has shaped the way that you kind of respond to stress in your environment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so once that kind of started to get out, it just felt like a breath.
Fresh air, yeah.
The hyperventilating kind of stopped. Like, it was out. Like, I understood what needed to happen at that point.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
makes a lot of sense.
Sorry, Mama. You see, I'm still struggling to learn how to communicate properly.
But it's
voice cracking.
But it's a step, though, because now by you doing that, all you're doing is, once again, the confidence.
Yeah.
You're being confident in what you're saying now, because at first, anything that you do new, it's a little timid. You be a little timid with it. It's like, okay, let me make sure I'm not stepping on eggshells. Let me make sure I'm doing it right. I want to cross my T's and dot my I's.
Exactly.
But then sometimes we don't cross the T right. We don't dot the I right. And
exactly.
now that's a nerve. It's like,
it's like everything. Right. And that's what she said. She was like, you really, it sounds like you're really struggling when you don't have control. And it all these light bulbs went off, right? Because I have a hard time when things are, especially if it affects me, it's like it's either I'm gonna do it or you gonna do it right.
Yeah, right.
Like I'm gonna micromanage you doing it because it affects me personally, you know. And once I kind of understood that, I could go to God again and be like, I understand now, you know. And then, you know, through that healing process, I was able to come back to God and now, you know, really talk to Him, really kind of even see, you know, things were even broken, you know, in my life, you know. I was able to open up, come out the shadows a little bit. Like all that to say, sometimes it's okay to, you know, reach out.
Yes.
When you're in those dark spaces. You don't necessarily have to just sit in it all the time, you know? If one thing doesn't like really register and like pull you out of it, you know, and it's not to say that God couldn't do it, because God could do it. I just wouldn't let Him at the time, you know?
Yeah.
But like something else might be able to help you.
Right, and you know, to your point, you know, therapy. You know, I'm becoming more okay with seeking therapy.
Yeah.
At first, you know, in the community, and I'm gonna just say some of the black community, therapy was frowned upon.
Yeah.
What? You don't need therapy. And it's like now it's like, yeah, like we really dealt with some real things. And to your point, as you know, we in prayer and we crying out, we hyperventilating, we dry heaving. It's like
fighting,
you know,
God.
we fighting. But now when you finally went and got, you know, seen a therapist, they was able to shed some light. So now it just made you more accurate in your prayers now. So it's not saying that, again, God couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was just like you had a muffle on it and you had a grip on it. It's like, oh, wow, okay. I always had to be in survival. I had to do, oh, wow, okay, God.
Yeah.
Now, God, help me with this survival mode. Help me with wanting to be in control all the time.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
Help me with this. So,
exactly.
And same thing with me. You know, once I started learning that my anger was an issue, a big issue, I'm like, at first I didn't want to accept it because I didn't think nothing was wrong with me.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was an issue. But then once, you know, I realized it and I accepted it, it was a tough pill to swallow.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just like, okay. All right.
Yeah.
You know, okay. All right. And now I'm feeling bad because I'm like, man, was I really that angry? Was I really doing this? Was I really doing that? Man, how many people did I really affect behind my anger?
Right.
So now, okay, God, help me with my anger.
Yeah.
Help me with not directing it to people. You
Right.
know, help me to release this.
Yeah.
You know, not on people, but release it to you.
Right.
So I can be a better person because I don't, you know, we don't like this. We don't like being a dysfunctional person. We don't want to be a healthy person.
You want to heal at some point.
Yeah. So, you know, and you know, favorite saying, we gotta be sick and tired of being sick and tired.
100%.
Are you sick and tired?
Put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. So, anything else you want to say?
No, I didn't get to do my science lesson, but it's okay.
Say nah, it's gonna come back around. It's gonna come back around. But again, thank you so much for tuning in for another night of our roundtable discussion, where we unpack. You want to say unpack our unhealthy ways, our dysfunction, our trauma. And now that we unpacked it, we're able to identify what that is, and now we know how to, one, pray, and then two, go to therapy. There's nothing wrong with therapy.
Yeah.
It's nothing wrong with therapy.
Honestly.
So if somebody is saying that therapy is wrong, you need to just cut them off, because therapy will enlighten you.
Be talking, you know? It's a conversation.
That's it.
Just like this.
Yeah. But without the camera. Without the setup.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you for tuning in. If this has impacted you in any kind of way, and you want to just share your testimony of where you was and then how you came out, you can feel free. You can write us in our email, Deeper Life Deliverance, Deeper Life 3 at Verizon.net, or you can write us on Facebook and our messenger. You can message us. You can let us know. You can talk to us. We're there. We're there, and we want to be a support.
Yeah.
If you, again, this really impacts you and you want more, if you want to be a blessing, we have our Givelify.
Yeah.
You can donate. We have our website. You can donate, or if you want to just show up on Sunday and donate, more than welcome. We'll love to see you. We love to have you. Again, on behalf of Apostle Robert Parker and Pastor Celeste Parker, we want to thank you. Thank you, sis, again.
Thank you for your transparency.
I know that was a lot. So tune in next week if you can. Next week is our final week.
Yeah.
What's the next week? What's the last one?
Okay. Unlearning church to learn ministry.
Woo!
Drop
Wow.
mic.
Drop the mic. So again, tune in. We have our Sunday morning worship. You can come in. Starts at 11 a.m. Come on in. We would love to see you. We would love to have you. We want you to come worship with us and see our sanctuary.
Yeah.
Come see about us. Thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye.